Hello everyone, it is Liam, the Death Doom Metalhead, and today is a vinyl collection update of death metal, doom metal, crusty punk kind of death doom, melodic death dooms, all in that kind of bracket. There's only one black metal album you'll be happy to know if you're not a fan of the black metal that I've been showing recently. So we will crack on. So this first one is a 2023 release this year, obviously. EP that absolutely flattened me when I listened to this, and I mean that literally. Is fucking phenomenal, and that is the latest from Coffin with the Conscripted Morality EP. This is out through Macho Records for the vinyl. The CD is done by At War with False Noise, and then the cassette is done by Dry Cough Records. You get about 24 minutes of sheer brutality. This is a Scottish band based out of Edinburgh, and they're kind of a Greek Scottish descent of members in there as well, and it has certain styles of music in here that I can kind of hear, and when you read the description of the boys from where they're from and that, and their nationalities and the background and all that kind of thing, you can kind of make it out. So this is what I would say morbid angel worship done right. It's very much that Gateways to Annihilation, heretic almost, but then there's some like Rotting Christ kind of vibes I get in that, and I don't know if that's just because I read that they've got the Greek influences in there, but the drummer is mental on this. It's got double kick for days. It's just constant, and the production is absolutely massive. I was really not expecting that. I was kind of expecting kind of like a rough around the edges kind of sound, because I kind of saved this before I bought it, just not listen to it until the vinyl plays, and yeah, absolutely smoked me. So this is brilliant. I can't tell you how good this is. You have to listen to it yourself. Link will be below. But the vinyl from Macho Records comes with this inlay here, and you get lyrics there, and it is pressed on white vinyl, which I know a lot of people might not like, but who cares. But yeah, I mean, guitar wise it's very chunky. I mean, it's massive. The amp sound is chef's kiss. It's fucking amazing. It's thick, it's nasty, it's ballsy, it's, you know, it's everything. Like, I love Gateways to Annihilation by Morbid Angel, and this screams all of that. The only criticism I have is the vocals are quite low in the mix. They're not as high as I maybe would like, but you know, that is a very small, and I mean small, criticism, because I don't really listen to the vocals that much, to be fair. I'm all about the guitars and the drums, and it's just brutal, absolutely brutal. So if you haven't checked these guys out, they're a killer band, and they've got so much energy live as well if you watch them on YouTube. So hopefully I can gig with these guys one day, or even see them live would be even better. So yeah, Coffin, wicked release that is. Next one is another band that I adore, and this is their second full-length album for this year. They put out an album in 2020 that was in my top 5, and it was brilliant, and I loved it. It was a totally fresh sound to me, and they've just carried that on with the next one. Band is Fires in the Distance with Air Not Meant for Us. This is put out through Prosthetic Records. Literally, I think maybe this week or last week. This is brilliant. So these guys are a doom death band, but they're also very melodic, and they have a very unique, to me anyway, they have a unique sound that is very much their own style. They've kind of put themselves in a niche where they have melodic death metal as an influence. They've got the doomy death style with the like drawn out power chords, but it's the melodies over the top that kind of makes this album sound massive, and the technicality of it. And then there's loads of keys in there to give it a kind of a melodic touch as well. There's synths that sit underneath all that, and it's just brilliant. The drums sound absolutely massive on this as well. It's got a really big kick drum sound. I mean, it's got wicked artwork as well. This has 2 variants. I think the US one is like a blue marbled one, and then the European one is like a red marbled one, so it looks like that. If I pull it out you can see it properly. So that looks really nice, and it sounds absolutely huge. And yeah, wicked band. I mean, they have a very distinct sound, and they use certain melodies, and this is basically a follow-on from their last album. So if you like that one, you already like this one. Inlay with a picture of the lads there, and then lyrics there. It's just brilliant. I mean, it really is. It's very catchy, very unique. There's some instrumentals in there. It has everything I want in a doom death album, you know. And because these guys have their own distinct sound as well, they don't get lost in that kind of pile of doom death bands where they all have guttural vocals, or will have certain riffs they use. These guys have a very distinct sound, their own style, and it's a really fresh take on it. So if you haven't checked it out, strongly recommend this. It's brilliant. It's easy to buy as well. I got this off Amazon. It's that easy to get. So go support these guys. They are wicked. Now, I said about the black metal, and there is one black metal album, and it's only one. And this one is brilliant. This was recommended to me by my mate Kenny. This is a 90s band that pretty much most people have forgotten about. So this is the Moaning from Sweden. This is their 97 album, and this was their only full length, which has been repressed for 2023 or re-released through Floga Records out of Greece. Now, this is a direct comparison to the band Dawn, if you know them, and I forget the name of the album, something to do with the sun, Slaughter Sun or something like that. And these guys are pretty much in that ballpark where it's similar, very, very similar. Obviously, they've been Swedish, same time period in the 90s. They formed in 93, and then they put this one out in 97. They don't exist anymore. I forget how many variances. I think there's maybe 2. I've got this kind of like bone white one. And it's brilliant. I mean, what's nice about this release as well, it has a little write-up about the band. So in the inlay there, you've got a write-up about the history of the band and what they were about in this time period from the band itself. And then you've got the lyrics there. This is a brilliant, brilliant album. It's melodic black metal, in the vein, like I said, Dawn. You could compare them maybe to Dissection a little bit as well. It's more upbeat. It's not harsh or raspy and nasty underground sound. It's got very much that 90s Swedish black metal style where it's well produced for the time period. The riffs are killer, it's got bags of energy, and it's just very, very memorable. And yeah, the artwork's pretty cool as well. So if you haven't checked this one out, Blood from Stone, really do recommend this one. This was a wicked recommendation for me. And yeah, fucking phenomenal album. And sticking with the reissues, while I was on the Floga website, because they had an Easter sale, I grabbed this album by the band Dark Millennium, which is a German death metal band from the 90s. This is their 1992 debut. They formed in 91, but I believe they split up in 93. I think they did 2 albums in the 90s and they split up, got back together in 2016, and I have their album from 2022 they did recently, and that was brilliant. And I thank Roger for getting me into this band, because I had no idea who they were, and he told me to go check out the latest one. I did, and I've kind of backtracked. Now these guys, you could say, are a death metal band, but they're way, way more than that. They're technically a doom death band, but also a prog death metal band. They have everything, but it's quite slow. But it's death metal, if you know what I mean. I mean, these guys are way ahead of their time when they put this out. Picture of the band on the back there. I mean, the key changes, the scales they use, the style, everything is very, very unique. And on first listen, it can be a little bit tricky to get into, because you don't know really what you're expecting, because you go with 90s death metal and you think it's going to be fast, it's going to be raspy, and it's not. It has elements of it, but it's got so much more going on. I got the blue vinyl variant. I don't know if there was another one. And you know, I know like Metal Mickey, he's shown this and he loves this album, so that can tell you it's pretty good. So he's a fussy bastard. But inlay there with a bit of history on the band there. There's stuff about it there from the band, and you got lyrics as well. It's very, very unique. And I must admit, this one I found harder to get into than their latest album, and I really, really liked the latest one. And this one is kind of very similar, because they're quite proggy, but it has that doomy kind of death metal edge to it, and I love obviously that style. So after a few spins, it really sunk in, and I love this album. So go check these boys out. Their latest one as well. Very, 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 very cool. Now, sticking with Floga Records, that was also a Floga Records one, but this one was also one I found off, I think, Discogs randomly. It was really, really cheap, and when it arrived, I didn't realise it was a Floga Records release. And that is Norwegian band Festa. Now, this band formed in 1990, and they were a black metal band out of Norway. And I think the band still exists, but they disbanded, I think, in 95, yeah, and they reformed in 2010. And this is the 2012 album, which is their third full length. But it's not a black metal band anymore at this point. It has elements of black metal, but this is more of an industrial death metal. It's a very weird album actually. I mean, I bought it because it was cheap, and I liked what I sampled, because I like to kind of sample things sometimes and not just buy it if I think that sample's good enough, especially if the price is right. And it's a long album, You get your, I mean, I got my money's worth. Put it that way. Yeah, there's the gatefold there, and this is on, I think, just black wax. Yeah, but it has a insert here if I can get it open. It's one of those shiny covers that's really annoying. So there is a picture of the band there. It's quite cool. And then your thank yous, your lyrics, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's just an interesting release. It's like I say, it's got that industrial edge to it, and it's kind of, it has a charm to it, and I really liked it. And I also loved the cover. The cover was what actually lured me in when I saw this. So it's a weird album. It's not one I can understand first listen, and I must admit, like, this one's took me a lot longer than I would expected to get into, because it's different, but in a good way, if you know what I mean. So go check it out for yourselves and see what you think. I mean, I imagine it's quite easy to find if I got it pretty cheap. So see what you think. But yeah, Festa, Celebration of Death. So there you go, check that one out. Now this one I'm well chuffed I found, because I wasn't going to pay full price for it when it came out. And their previous release went for silly money years later. And then I found this randomly on eBay, and the guy was selling it for silly money, and I put an offer in, and he accepted it straight away, and I was like, fuck yeah. So the band is Analepsy from Portugal. This is their latest from 2022 called Coincidence, something like that. Put out through Miasma Records, there's a ton of records, Argonian Records. So yeah, loads of bands. And this is a brutal death metal band. You could say they're a slam band, but I'd be lying if I said they're a slam band, personally to me, because I don't really like slam. I like elements of it, but I'm not into it. But these guys are way more than that, and they carry it really well. So there's a picture of the boys on the back there. So this is, I would say, brutal death metal, but with a slam influence. So these guys can play. Like, the solos on here are ridiculous. The drumming is brilliant. The riffs are fast. They're not just that chuggy stuff that you get in slam. There's so much more to it than that. And it's just brilliant. It's got guest vocals from the chap from Suffocation who does Suffocation now. I forget his name, but he's in a band called Disgorged, if you know them. Gatefold with lyrics. And there's a few variants. And the guy I bought off was selling his on the clear kind of splatter with blue, which goes really well with the album cover. But this is fucking awesome. And I listened to this a lot last year, and I meant to pick it up on CD. And then it kind of vanished where I was watching it, and I didn't see it anywhere for a long time. And then it went up to like 25 quid for the CD, which I never ever would pay. And then I ended up getting the vinyl for less than 15 quid, so I'm well happy. And this is well worth checking out if you haven't checked it out, because it's such a heavy band. And if you like your brutal death metal with a bit of slam, but they're kind of like a Suffocation, and it's just fucking awesome. So yeah, Analepsy. Go check it out. Fucking brutal album. Right, going over to Russia now for a band that I discovered for their debut maybe, and it was a very unique sound at the time for me. This is a sludgy kind of doom with a kind of blackened kind of edge to it, and the band is called Crust. They formed in 2014. This is their full length from 2020. Third full length from 2020, and it's called And Dirge Becomes an Anthem. This was put out through Rotting Misery, I think. Yeah, so repress, because these originally all just came out on CD, and then a few years later they got the vinyl treatment. I think in 2022 this was pressed. So these guys are a 3-piece, which you can see on the back there, and that cover is wicked, isn't it? So yeah, they're like a kind of blackened, crusty, doomy death metal band, and it's very sludgy, heavy, kind of Hooded Menace vibes to it. There's a bit of like, I don't know, like kind of like Stoner Doom kind of style in there a little bit. I don't really like that, but there's a pinch of it in there. It's kind of got a fuzzy big guitar tone. This release came with the CD as well, which is really nice. So you've got, if I can get it all out, so the CD comes in this like little black envelope there. So that's quite smart, so I can put it on in the car. Black wax for all the purists out there. And then you've got a little inlay there with the album cover. Now, I keep thinking this is creased, but it's not. It's actually part of the artwork. It's not creased at all. I can't tell you how much that bugs me. Every time I see that, I think, oh no, it's damaged. And it's the same with the front cover of the vinyl. It looks exactly like that. It's just how the artwork is. It's really, really annoying. But, you know, I mean, I'll tell you an example there. Look, you look at it from a distance, you think, oh, it's damaged. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the artwork has that as the image. Very weird, very weird. But the band is wicked, and the music is superb. And I think they put out a new album last year, and I need to pick up that one. So, well worth checking out if you haven't seen these boys. Very, very heavy, kind of doomy death with a sludgy. It's just fucking awesome. There's a blackened edge to it as well. It's just brilliant. So yeah, Crust. And moving back to Germany for some brutal old school death metal. I'm going to drop all these in a minute if I'm not careful. So this one, yeah, it's brilliant. Put out for a Chinese label, and I didn't think I'd ever see this. And then it popped up in the UK in a distro. And you know, I'm well happy. Who put it out? I can't remember now. Hongguan Records, that's it. So this is Obscenity with Suffocated Truth. This is their debut from '92. Band formed in '89, and is what you expect. It's savage, old school death metal, raw, it's fuzzy, it's brutal, it's heavy, it's fast, it's thrashy, it's everything of the '90s all in one. This is brilliant. I mean, the cover was what I wanted it for, and I looked into it, and I thought, yeah, I want a piece of that. And then when I saw it was getting put out over here by Razor Dead Records, got them in. And yeah, it's fucking amazing. So the vinyl, this is I think the debut vinyl for this label in China as well. Looks like that, clear, the kind of red and black and white splatter. And it's, you know, nice inner sleeves. You got the whole works for this one. A really nice thick gate card, and it's got an inlay. There you go. Got that there. And a picture of the band there, looking all pretty. Yeah, just savage, old school sounding death metal. You know, it's fast, it's fuzzy, it's brutal. It's, you know, perfect. You know, and it's not been. I think it might have been remastered, possibly. I would expect it has, but it still has that old school vintage quality to it. And yeah, it's just a savage release. So if you haven't checked it out, I'll leave links below. But yeah, Obscenity, really worth checking that one out. Brilliant album. Now, I've got two more and I'll leave you alone. So the next one is a blind buy, and I didn't realise, well, I haven't never heard of this band, so if you watch this video and you're in the UK or you know your 90s Death Doom, you'll be able to help me with this. So this is a UK band called Anaphropathy. Probably butchered that. And this is their demos, all put onto vinyl. So this was a Rotting Misery release, and there's 4 tracks on there. Now this band, from what I can find, they're a West Yorkshire band, formed in '89, and then they disbanded a few years later. They only released one demo in '93 on a cassette, I'm assuming at the time, and then years later this has been pressed to vinyl. And if you're a fan of Enchantment, early Paradise Lost, it screams all that. And obviously being from Yorkshire, they're in that area of the world at the time where it's just doom death was rife, and it's brilliant. And it's got a card inlay there with a big old write-up from one of the I think it was a magazine at the time who were interviewing the band of that time period, and that's the whole interview on there. And it's brilliant. It even has a bit at the end there. You can get a copy of the demo for £2.50, including post and packaging. I mean, you think about 90s doom death originals now, they would never ever go for that kind of price. So that was quite funny to read the lyrics there. And this is brilliant. Like, the recording on it is wicked. Like, it's fucking thick, juicy, early 90s Death Doom. It's got that old school 90s vibe to it. And I'd never heard of them. Never heard of them. I've got the Doom kind of books back there. I couldn't find them mentioned in there. Vinyl was just kind of like amber, kind of marble vinyl. And it sounds massive. And again, I got this for like nothing, like £7 Discogs from At War with False Noises distro. And it's brilliant. Like, I'm well happy I've got this because I knew nothing about it. And I'm like, you know, I've got a little bit of UK Death Doom history now in my collection, and I love all that. You know, obviously being from the UK, it makes you proud to have that in your collection. being in that kind of genre of band, etc. You know. So yeah, if you've heard of the band, obviously let me know in the comments below what you remember of them, because I don't even know if they even played any gigs or what. I can't remember. I need to read the interview again. But yeah, a really, really cool little collection of songs there. So if you haven't got that, go get it. And lastly, this is a split between 4 bands, and I brought this purely because of the artwork, because I am a massive Mark Riddick fan, and he's got his artwork all over this release. So this is called Sepulchral Voices, I think it's called. And this is the split here. It's got 4 bands. You've got, who have we got? So we've got Fetid Zombie, which is Mark Riddick's solo project. He's on here with a couple of songs. You've then got Master of Cruelty from Paraguay, kind of a thrashy death metal band. Nocturnize from Singapore, and then Vomit Church, who are split between Greece and Mexico. And yeah, I mean, this is a fucking awesome little package, and it's got loads of little goodies inside it. So I'll get the vinyl out first. I think the vinyl is white. Seems to be a theme in this video, white vinyl. You've got some white vinyl there. But then you've got Mark Riddick artwork that I absolutely love, and there's loads of it in this. And it, you know, again, I paid nothing for this, essentially, for what it's worth, in my eyes anyway. So you've got loads of little inlay cards. So you've got, what's that one? Sepulchral Voices. There, I think that's the name of the band there. You've got another card there with some Mark Riddick artwork on it there. Front cover of that release. One of the other bands there. Then Mark Riddick himself, giving the old claws. Another card with all the bands on the split. And then a little write-up about it there. It's Mark Riddick artwork. Everyone likes Mark Riddick artwork. This big little piece of artwork here with nothing on the back, so you can frame that if you really wanted to. Nice thick card as well. And then you've got the inlay there about each band, who's in what, with lyrics as well. So yeah, I mean, again, for what I paid for it, you know, I'm well happy with that, because I love collecting stuff that has a bit of effort in it, and this has got tons of that. So if you've not checked that out, I'll leave a link below. You can go find out for yourself. But just a 4-way split of nasty underground sounding death metal. Mark Riddick's band is very much a kind of old school thrashy 90s blackened death metal band, as it were, kind of in the vein of Blasphemy, in that kind of vein to me. Master of Cruelty was very fucking fast and brutal. Nocturnize from Singapore, same sort of thing. And then Vomit Church was just a blast fest by memory. So yeah, really cool release. So that is the end of this video. So if you liked the video, please like it to let YouTube know I'm alright. And if you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, obviously please feel obliged to click the link below. But in the meantime, I look forward to you guys speaking in the comment section. You all take care. Cheers.